What's up? What's up? It's the VGJP in the house. Anyway, I went to lunch with some friends, with my Japanese friends, and we were standing at the corner, and they all stood in the shade, and I stood in the sun. And they said, "Why aren't you in the shade?" And I'm like, "For what?" And they're like, "Because it's hot." And I said, "It's not hot to me." And they said, "It is hot." I said, "No, it's not." I said, "The sun energizes me, and I don't need to stand in the shade." And then they were like, "Why is that?" And I said, "Because I'm black. Why do you think?" You know, and I told them they should go study up on melanin and stuff. They said, "Well, the sun is too hot for us. This is really too high, and I can't stand it," and stuff like that. And I was like, "Whatever, you know." And they said, "Oh, you should come just stand with us." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Why am I going to stand in the sun? I mean, not stand in the sun, but stand in the shade just so I could freeze and stuff. You know, it doesn't make no sense, you know." And then they're like, you just lying, huh?" And I said, "Touch my skin." So they touched my skin, and they were like, "Wow, your skin is cool." And I said, "Yeah." And I grabbed I touched each of their skin. I said, "Wow, your skin is hot, burning up." You know, they said, "Yeah." And they said, "Why is that? Why is that?" And I said, "Because I'm built for success." Of course, I stole that from Ice Cube's, one of his, what you call it? And they were like, his songs. And, they're like, "Ha, ha, 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 that's not funny." And I said, "No, it's not. It's the truth." But it was cool, though. But it's interesting because sometimes, though, when I'm walking with some of my friends and stuff, and we stop at the corner, all the people, you know, they're all standing in the shade, and I'll notice that. So I'll just stand out in the sun, and I'll open my arms up and go, "Oh, this feels so good. I love the sun." You know, and then I'll like pretend like I'm eating the sun. You know, it's funny though. My friends are like, they all get angry and stuff. It ain't funny, and I'm like, whatever. You know, I don't care. You know, but it's cool. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with y'all. Peace.